Welcome to Smart Bites.
Great to be here.
In this deep dive, we're tackling, well, a huge question, one that's echoed through history across cultures. What is the meaning of life?
Yeah, no small topic for today.
Definitely not. And here on Smart Bites, we explore topics using insights from reputable articles, various sources, philosophical perspectives. And today, we're diving into this really profound subject. We'll be drawing from some fascinating discussions about finding purpose, philosophical takes, different viewpoints on why we're even here.
And the sources are quite different, which I think is useful. We've got Robert Greene and Andrew Huberman talking practical purpose.
Right, like finding your life's task.
Exactly. And then we have the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy digging into what meaning even means, plus a broader look from Wikipedia.
Okay, let's unpack this. What's fascinating is how they approach this massive question from such, well, different angles. Complementary, though.
It really is. You've got the practical, almost like a toolkit from Greene and Huberman. How do you find purpose?
Yeah, the how-to.
And then philosophy steps back and asks, okay, but what is meaning? It dissects the concept itself, looks at the big frameworks.
Like having a guide and a map. The guide for building a meaningful life. The map for the philosophical territory around it.
Precisely.
So let's start with that guide part, finding your life's purpose. Greene has this idea of a unique seed in each person.
Yeah, like an inherent potential.
It's a really compelling image, isn't it? This thing inside you, guiding you, makes you wonder what yours is.
And it ties into Huberman's point, about animals adapting to niches.
Right, finding where they fit to thrive.
The implication for us, for humans, is that finding our unique niche, aligning with that inner seed, it's not just about a job.
No, it feels much deeper.
Yeah, it's about fundamental well-being. He even mentions the potential deadly consequence of unfulfillment. That's strong language.
Wow, yeah, like a plant trying to grow in the wrong conditions. It might survive, but it won't flourish, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how do we find this seed, this niche? Greene talks about doing archaeology on your childhood interests.
Looking for the bones from our childhood. I like that phrase.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's about digging up those early fascinations, the things you loved before society or, practicalities got in the way.
What were you obsessed with as a kid? That might hold a clue.
And it's about what intrinsically motivated you, right?
Right.
Huberman mentions these seed emotions.
Seed emotions.
Yeah, those feelings of, like, delight and activation you get when you engage with certain things. His own example was flora, fauna, fish.
Yeah, okay. Things that just lit him up.
Exactly, like your internal compass giving you little nudges. Hey, pay attention to this.
And something else Greene really emphasizes, and this struck me, is listening to your inner voice. That quiet intuition. Tuning out the immediate gratification, what other people think. It sounds simple, but it's hard.
It really is, especially today.
Yeah.
And he frames frustration and anxiety in an interesting way.
How so?
Not just as bad feelings to get rid of, but as signals. Valuable data.
Signals,
Right.
like telling you you're on the wrong track.
Precisely. They offer insights into what you truly want or where you don't want to be. It's like the check engine light in your car. Annoying, maybe, but important.
Don't ignore the check engine light. Got it.
Right.
Okay, shifting slightly. Greene also talks about the sublime, which sounds a bit, I don't know, lofty.
It can, but he grounds it. He uses this metaphor of a circle are sort of cultural limitations, and the sublime exists at the edge, the threshold of new experiences.
Pushing boundaries.
Yeah, and he says our brains are actually wired for these kinds of transcendental moments. Think about that feeling of awe, maybe looking at the stars, or a vast landscape.
Okay, I get that. Something bigger than yourself.
Exactly. But he argues that authentic sublime experiences are kind of rare now.
Really?
Why? Well, maybe our lives are too structured, too mediated, and because we lack the real thing, we seek out false forms.
False forms? Like what?
Things like drugs, alcohol, maybe even getting caught up in online rage. Things that give a quick hit of intensity or transcendence, but lack real substance.
Okay, like chasing a mirage, you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like water, but doesn't quench the thirst.
But there are authentic forms, right? He mentions flow.
Yes, that feeling of being completely absorbed in something meaningful.
Like writing, or playing music, or coding, where time just vanishes.
Absolutely. Flow can be like a micro-sublime experience. You're engaged, challenged, connected to the activity itself.
That resonates. I think everyone's felt that at some point.
Hopefully. It's a powerful source of meaning in the moment.
Okay, another angle they cover. Role models and mentors. This was interesting. Huberman actually, assigned himself mentors based on Green's book Mastery.
Yeah, even if they didn't know it. It's about consciously choosing who influences you.
And Green points out it's not static, right? It evolves.
Definitely. He talks about his own mentors, a teacher, a professor, a book packager, different people for different stages. The key is finding people you genuinely connect with, intellectually or emotionally.
People you admire, even if it's just through their work.
And they can even act as surrogate parents in a way,
Yeah.
helping you rewrite scripts, maybe find support you didn't get.
Huberman keeps a notebook of admired people. I
Yeah.
wonder what he writes down. Like specific qualities or just names.
Could be anything, I suppose. Strategies, mindsets, ways of being.
But Green adds a warning, doesn't he, about too many choices.
Oh, yes, the paradox of choice.
Yeah.
Especially with social media, you can follow thousands of gurus. It can be paralyzing.
So how do you filter?
Purpose. Green argues that having a clear sense of your own purpose acts as that filter. It helps you see who's actually relevant to your path.
Makes sense. And they draw a line between just, clicking follow and a real mentor relationship.
A big line, real mentorship takes work, courage, social skills.
Yeah.
It's active engagement, not just passive consumption.
Right. It's not just scrolling.
Not at all. Which leads kind of naturally to the next point, ignoring distractions.
The art of ignore, as Green calls it.
Yes, especially negative stuff like the example of the Nextdoor app and local crime news.
Yeah, Huberman shared how that negativity affected his own enjoyment of his neighborhood.
It seeps in, doesn't it? It drains your energy.
So it's about focusing on what you can control.
That seems to be the core idea, and channeling negative emotions like outrage into something productive.
Rather than just stewing in it or venting online.
Exactly. Do something practical, however small. Otherwise, the negativity just distracts you from your purpose. It's designed to, often.
Design, you mean like algorithms?
Well, yeah. Social media often prioritizes sensational high-emotion content because it gets engagement. Outrage gets clicks.
But we have to consciously resist that pull.
Pretty much. And maybe even channel those dark impulses, as Green puts it, into positive action. Take that energy and build something or help someone.
Turn the negative into a positive force.
That's the idea. It's about mastering your focus.
Okay, so that's the practical side, the Green and Huberman perspective on finding purpose and staying focused. Now, let's zoom out.
To philosophy.
Right. How does philosophy tackle this meaning of life question? It's a different beast altogether.
It is. And the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy points out that initially, analytic philosophy was pretty suspicious of the question itself.
Suspicious, like they thought it was meaningless?
Kinda, yeah. Or at least ill-posed, like asking what is the sound of purple? The structure, the meaning, singular, seemed problematic.
A bit like the Hitchhiker's Guide answer, 42. The question itself might be the issue.
Exactly. But, the desire for meaning is so deeply human. Thinkers like Bettelheim, Frankl, they highlight how central it is. Our stories, our hopes, our fears are all tied up with it.
You can't just dismiss it because it's philosophically awkward.
Right. So contemporary analytic philosophy does engage with it. But it starts by, dissecting the words. What do we even mean by meaning?
Okay, breaking it down.
They identify 3 key connotations, roughly. First, sense-making.
Sense-making, like intelligibility, coherence.
Yeah, how things fit together, how they make sense within a larger whole. Like understanding how parts of an engine work together.
Got it. What's the second?
Purpose.
Yeah.
This is about intention, the why. Why was the engine built?
Yeah.
What's its function?
Okay, sense-making and purpose. And the third?
Significance. This is about value, impact, mattering. Does the engine make a difference? It's important.
Sense, purpose, significance. So meaning can mean any of those things.
Or often a combination. Understanding these helps clarify what we're actually asking when we ask about the meaning of life.
And they also look at the word life, right? It's not just biology.
No, it's about our existence, the weighty stuff, suffering, joy, mortality. And that definite article, the, still causes trouble. Does it imply one single meaning for everyone?
Which feels unlikely for many people. Meaning seems personal.
That's the tension. But one way to frame the question philosophically is seeing it as a search for a grand sense-making framework.
An overarching story.
Sort of. A way to understand where we came from, why we're here, what matters, where we're going. The kind of thing a worldview provides. Trying to make it all cohere.
Okay. And within that search, there are different theories about where meaning in life might come from.
Right. Broadly, you have supernaturalism, meaning comes from God or some divine plan.
The religious perspective, generally.
Yes. Then you have naturalism, which says meaning, if it exists, has to be found within the natural world without recourse to the supernatural.
And that breaks down further.
It does.
Oh.
Objective naturalism says there are objective features of the natural world that make life meaningful, like morality, creativity, knowledge. Subjective naturalism says meaning is all about our attitudes, what we care about, what we find fulfilling.
So objective is out there, subjective is in here.
Kinda. And there are hybrid views trying to combine both. And then, of course, there's nihilism.
Which thus?
No meaning. Either it's impossible or it simply doesn't exist. Life is ultimately meaningless.
That's a cheerful option.
Well, it's one philosophical position.
And philosophy also connects this to death, right? The fear of futility.
Absolutely. There's this deep-seated worry. If we die, and that's the absolute end, doesn't that make everything we do futile, pointless?
Yeah, what's the point if it all just disappears?
Futility is often linked to expectations. We expect things we build to last, purposes to be fulfilled. We want the good things, love, happiness to endure.
And death seems to cut that short, especially in a purely naturalistic view, maybe?
That's the challenge it poses. Can a finite life truly satisfy that longing for lasting significance? It's a tough question.
The encyclopedia also mentions some underexplored areas.
Yeah, like how meaning relates to other values, ethics, beauty, flourishing, or eudaimonia, and the role of narrative. The stories we tell ourselves, especially as traditional religious meta-narratives, have less holes for some people.
How do we construct meaning through stories in a more secular age? Interesting.
Very.
Okay, and finally, the Wikipedia overview. It just throws everything out there, doesn't it?
It really does. It emphasizes the lack of consensus, traces the question back to Schopenhauer.
And lists just tons of perspectives, scientific angles, ancient Greeks.
Plato, Aristotle's eudaimonia, cynics, Stoics.
Enlightenment thinkers like Kant, utilitarianism.
Then 20th century stuff, pragmatism, existentialism, absurdism, humanism. Even postmodernism, questioning grand narratives altogether.
And East Asian philosophies too. Confucianism, Taoism, plus all the religious views.
It's a whirlwind tour. It shows just how universally and persistently humans have grappled with this. From seeking virtue, to pleasure, to tranquility, to reason, to God's purpose, to making our own meaning.
And popular views too, like realizing potential, seeking wisdom, doing good, love.
And again, the nihilist view, no meaning. And even the idea that maybe we shouldn't seek a single answer.
It's almost overwhelming, the sheer number of angles.
It underscores the complexity.
Yeah?
There's no single easy answer universally agreed upon. Different paths, different frameworks.
Okay, wow, that was a lot. Let's try to unpack what this all means for you, the learner.
Yeah, bringing it back. For you, the learner, who wants to get informed quickly but thoroughly.
The quick takeaway seems to be, well, there isn't one quick takeaway answer to the meaning of life. Surprise.
Yeah. It's more about the richness of the exploration itself.
But here's what I think is really interesting, pulling it all together. The sources strongly suggest that meaning isn't this single cosmic answer hidden somewhere.
Not like finding a lost key.
Exactly. Instead, it seems deeply tied to personal discovery and active creation. Remember Green's archaeology of childhood, Huberman's seed emotions.
Paying attention to what delights and activates you.
Yes, and then actively creating meaning through your choices, your work, your relationships, how you engage with the world. That's a bit of an aha moment, isn't it? Meaning isn't just found, it's made.
It shifts the focus from finding a pre-written answer to participating in the writing of it.
So for you, wanting to be well-informed, it's not just about knowing what Plato or Green or Kant said. It's about grappling with these questions yourself.
Considering what resonates with your inner voice, your own life experiences, connecting the dots between all this knowledge and your own internal world.
Which leads to a question for you to maybe reflect on. Thinking about your own seed emotions, those early fascinations, what themes keep popping up for you?
What threads run through your life?
And how might those connect to what feels significant, purposeful, meaningful to you right now? It's like using those past clues to inform your present direction.
And one final thought, maybe a bit provocative.
Go on.
Given all these diverse perspectives, from ancient philosophy to modern science to personal purpose, perhaps the most meaningful approach isn't actually finding the definitive answer, but continuously engaging with the question itself. Allowing that ongoing inquiry to shape your journey, your understanding, and how you choose to live. Maybe the meaning is in the searching, not the finding.